Snake Eyes.
It looks like Snake Eyes has something to say.
Snake Eyes doesn't talk.
Actually, I'm Henry Golding.
Henry Golding?
I play Snake Eyes in the new movie.
There's a Snake Eyes movie?
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another video of SNL Movie Chats. And we are your hosts, Joshua Lewis
and John Emery Singleton.
And today we're going to be talking about one of the silent killers, real stepper from the G.I. Joe world, Snake Eyes.
What an interesting way for them to come back to the franchises. Like, you know, we're going to reinvigorate, put some new blood into this by making an origin movie about the whole world, but centering it on Snake Eyes. I thought that was an interesting way to go, for sure.
Yeah, definitely a good character to start with his own solo movie. Good character to pick out of all the G.I. Joes, like the most standout person, the coolest person.
The favorite, the classic.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's everyone's favorite if you even know about G.I. Joe or watched it. Like, who didn't like Snake Eyes?
Did you have any, did you want to start with your pros to kind of like maybe hype up a little bit before you go into the...
I'll let you start. Okay. I feel like
so if you tuned into my TikTok, fresh out of the theater, I did have issues with the film, but me, myself, I did find some enjoyment in watching it. I think maybe it has something to do with my nostalgic love for Snake Eyes and him being the class favorite. And there's something about Henry Golding that he just has a screen presence that I enjoy to watch, and I'm really excited to see him in more.
Yeah, I like seeing him as Snake Eyes. I think that was
I think it was a good pick.
Yeah.
But I had a good time with it. Some of the action was nice to watch when you could focus on it, because a big thing for me that kind of almost, it was like right on the line of taking me out of the movie, was the shaky camera in the action sequences.
Yeah, I know exactly.
It got a little bit better near the end. Excuse me. But in the beginning, when he's in the warehouse fighting with Storm Shadow, was like, you couldn't tell really what was happening in their fights, except for the fact that they were just fighting X number of people because they would show them before the fight ensued. But once that happened, it was like someone was jogging with a GoPro or something. I don't really know what was happening. So it was kind of hard. It was more like left to me to visualize specifically what was happening, because you could hear like some noises, swords clanging, this and that happening. But you couldn't really tell what was happening. But I mean, I liked, for the most part, I liked the way they kind of set it up and some reveals that they did. You know, there were some good aspects for me personally.
Yeah. I agree. Again, I like what's his name again?
Henry Golding.
Henry Golding. I liked him. I think that was a good casting for Snake Eyes. So that was pretty cool. I think he did a good job. I also like the side characters around him. So Tommy, I liked him a lot. I thought he was written well. I also like the kind of relationship they had in the beginning of the film, like the very beginning, the whole like fish boy. I thought, that was like the one part of the movie I thought was probably the most funniest, is when he was undercover, because of how he was acting. He was doing a pretty damn good job at it too. So I like that. I also like the fights. Not necessarily how the fights were shot, because I do agree with you 100% on that. Because that's something I noticed instantly in the first fight too.
One, right?
I was like, I hope it starts to tighten up, because I don't know if you guys ever watched the movie, but I feel like you ever just like seen a movie and it kind of starts off like that, and you think it's gonna stay like that, but then it kind of gets a lot better by the end of it. This one, it got a little bit better, but I feel like it still had that issues moving throughout the whole movie.
I feel like just throughout the movie, every fight, it gave you a little more to visualize for yourself, because obviously you couldn't find it. Kind of like what we spoke about off camera with them fighting together near the end of the movie. Yeah, again, the fights weren't really shot that well, but it's like visually, they're giving me enough to imagine what it looks like or supposed to look like.
Yeah, so that was one con I had with it. But again, I like Tommy. I like some of the side characters. I like the chick that is like the head of security, pretty much, you can say, at Tommy's clan.
Oh, yeah.
I liked her. I like the whole vibe, too. Yeah, that too. I like the whole vibe of everything, especially coming from, like, Mortal Kombat, and then going, like, soon we're going to get Shang-Chi, too. So I'm all for, like, that aesthetic of martial arts and just background drops of, like, where we are. I thought that was real cool. So I like the design. I like that stuff. But I don't know, man. I just feel like the Snake Eyes character, I never really had an origin in my head for Snake Eyes, like, at all. I don't know if I'm the only one, but, you know, I never really sat on that to think about. But getting one in this movie, it's not that his origin was bad for me. I just felt like some of the decisions he did in the movie just didn't sit right with the character I always liked for me, to the point where it kind of turned me around and made me like someone I didn't think I liked as much as I do now, which is Tommy's character. And if you don't know him, he's Storm Shadow.
I think I can agree. I think this movie does this job of, like, you know, you have this, because he doesn't talk when we know him, and, you know, so getting this whole backstory play is just, I don't know, it was kind of like a dick. We more or less talked about all the choices he made were kind of shitty. Yeah,
and it's just tough because, like, you know, he has cool lines of, like, you know, Tommy asks him, like, oh, why didn't you kill me when he gets captured in the beginning? And he's like, oh, I can look into your eyes and I saw honor and I'm not a murderer. You know, and I kind of, more so the honor part, like, I kind of really stuck with that.
Hit.
Yeah, especially with the whole Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow vibe that we've gotten, because if you ever watch, you know, G.I. Joe, you always know. They always fighting. You never knew what they was fighting about, but if them boys was always in the same room, they clashed in swords. You knew that's what was going down. So to see, like, the bond of that in the beginning of the movie, and then eventually, obviously, you know, it has to get broken at one point because they start fighting. Mm-hmm. But to see the bond in the beginning, I really like that. I liked it a lot. It gave me, like, Naruto Sasuke vibes. Like, I thought that was cool. So just to see the decisions that Snake Eyes started making, that I was just like, you know what, man? If I was Storm Shadow, I'd probably be tired too, bro.
I wouldn't like you either.
He was doing a lot of stuff. We made a blood brother oath in blood, and you still turned me away, man.
That was like pinnacle.
Yeah, that was like, yeah, bro. He full sent it for me in that moment. I was like, oh nah, man. Anything you do now, you got it.
Yeah,
you got it.
In that moment, I was like, man, this is really cool. They are building that, you know, that relationship, but, you know, something's going to happen to obviously make it to what we know. Mm-hmm. So to find out that it's that is kind of just like, yeah, no, if I was Storm Shadow, I might want to give you the hands and the fisticuffs too, because that's flawed.
Yeah, and that's not only the other thing. But going back a little bit sooner in the movie, I do like the chemistry, like, after the whole, you know, mob boss fight and all that. He takes him away, brings him to his clan, and just lets him know, like, oh, I like people like you, and this is the type of people I need in my inner circle. Like, he saw something in him, and for someone who we've known for the longest to be a villain, I think that shows a lot more. That shows his character is a lot more complex than I ever thought he would be. So to see the way he was moving in the beginning of this movie and how welcoming he was for Snake Eyes and how, like, against it everybody else was, I was like, yo, this is a cool dude, bro. Like, I can get behind that. Like, he's a real cool dude. He's mad, you know, swaggy P, you know, he has a little drip, you know, trying to run the clan soon. And I also like his origin story a lot more, to be honest.
Yeah, this almost felt like if they had centered the movie around Storm Shadow, it would have been a better film.
Yeah.
Honestly, because it kind of just felt like the downfall story of Storm Shadow, not the upcoming of Snake Eyes, because the character development of Snake Eyes in this movie was just poor. There's nothing that really makes him, you know, he doesn't have that turning point to become a hero like we get in most films like this. He kind of just gets to a point in the story where, you know, he realizes that Cobra played him. So that's kind of why he goes back. It's not like I need to do this because what I've been doing makes me a terrible person. I never got that sense. It kind of just felt like, oh, Cobra played me, so now I need to go, like, help these people that I used to mess with to...
Yeah,
it doesn't work for me.
It's almost like he had the ends justify the means. Or the means justify the ends, like however you say that. That's what it felt like he was going through the whole time. Mm-hmm. And then to the point where he got, you know, the scene where he's with the guy that killed his dad. And then, you know, figuring out, oh yeah, he was working with Cobra and all this other stuff. I feel like it wasn't until then that he, like, had the reflection and was like, dang, I did all this stuff, but I was actually working for the bad guys. And, you know, I was working for the bad guys the whole time, but in reality, whether you're working for the bad guys or not, you didn't feel any type of way of what you were doing for the guy that brought you in and the guy that was practically getting shitted on for bringing you in this whole time, bro. And he was still having your back. Like, I've never seen a man who had someone else's back like that ever, bro. Like,
but even before then, like that moment where he's with them after I think it's the first test, where you find out that he's still working with the Yakuza, and then he finds out that they're working with Cobra. He goes and meets the Baroness and still goes back to helping them. And in my head, I'm just like, that was the moment where I thought he was going to have the character change of, this really isn't right. This working with Cobra definitely doesn't justify my means of like using you to kill, like get my dad's killer. I thought that was going to be the moment. And when that didn't happen, I was like, oh boy, this is just, they're just making Snake Eyes a dick. And I don't know who wrote this, but it just isn't working.
In bird culture, this is considered a dick move.
All of
Snake Eyes
moves are dick moves?
Yeah, it wasn't working for me either. But going back a little sooner, I did like the test that he had to take as
Some
a
of them
plan.
were cool.
They were cool, yeah. A nice way to, a good spin on like, because I feel like we've seen tests like that in a lot of movies that came before. It's like, 3 trials to do whatever. So I was interested to see like how they're gonna put a little spin on that. So I did think that was cool. Especially like the first thing with the pot of water. I was kind of like, how are you gonna get that? Like in my head, I was actually thinking that too.
The way they talked about the third test, I was wondering like, what kind of test is this gonna be that where if you don't pass, you die? And then, you get the 3 snakes and you have to calm yourself, so I guess they don't sense you. And bro, the moment the first one came out, it hit me. I was like, oh yeah, if you fail, you're dead.
Yeah, you're dead.
Like, he got blessed.
And those snakes were a little intimidating, I'm not gonna lie. But it was cool at the end of the movie when one of them gets killed. Was it the black one?
It's the black one that stands up for him. I thought that was
I thought that was cool. And I also like that, obviously, like, the black one's still alive, and so is the white one. So when they slid it off to each other, I was kind of like, that's not what you did there. But I kind of liked it. That was cool.
Yeah, I think and then one other, like, big pro that I had for the film was that I liked the way that they did make it clear, like, Snake Eyes, yes, but then they had that G.I. Joe origin tag, and they did this way of, like, kind of slipping Cobra into the story and slipping the Joes in very subtly, for me anyway, and it felt like this particular aspect was pretty well done or decently handled, because it didn't feel like a story about this clan and the problems this clan is having and how this clan, the bad side and the good side, have branches out, and those branches happen to be Cobra and the Joes, which I thought was neat.
Yeah, I thought that was good too, because they didn't need to oversaturate this movie with like the Joes, because it's not what it was about. So I kind of like that. But going into another con, I forgot to bring up. The pacing for me was kind of off.
I agree.
I don't know if that was just a me thing, but and I know obviously like with origin stories, we have to start off and see how like what happened when he was a kid, stuff like that. And that didn't take me out the movie or anything, but like I don't know, just moving past that. And then past him speaking with the guy from the Yakuza, I was just kind of like, I don't know, it was just very, not rushed, but it just didn't feel natural.
Yeah, something about it that just didn't flow like you felt they were going for almost. I get what you're saying. I feel that. I kind of felt that with the transition in that section where it's like adult fighting, talking to the Yakuza, boom, I'm in Tokyo, and then boom, I'm at the fishing dock.
Yeah.
It was kind of like this big jump, and I was kind of like,
it was almost like they were like, we need to get you here, and it doesn't matter how we just need to get you here by this time. That's what it felt.
Especially because they jumped to the day where things went wrong with Storm Shadow being undercover. It was like we didn't even get like marination time of, oh, he's not just working for some dude, he's working for them, like the Yakuza. We didn't get any time to really marinate. It was kind of just like they made this guy seem like maybe he could be good, maybe he could be bad. I just need to hire you because you're a good fighter. And then, boom! Oh, by the way, you're, carteling guns for them. And I was just like, that escalated really fast, and then it just dumps out of that storyline. It was very interesting, for sure.
Yeah, and I wonder. I don't know if it's how they shot like the fight scenes or what, but I also feel like maybe this movie should have probably been rated R, for me anyway, because it does this thing where when you're PG and you're dealing with more intense scenes, especially if you have like guns in the mix or whatever, and like his dad, for example, they made it seem like his dad got like, shot in the head. And for a PG-13 movie, I get you're not gonna show that. But then if you're gonna do a shot of his dad dead on the floor, and you're gonna still show like his face, I just feel like they could have done that better. And I just had moments like that throughout the movie as well with other things, to where I just felt like they wanted to go for something, but they knew they couldn't, so they just. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, they just kind of...
Almost like they were going for it. It's like they went for it and then, like, cut it away so that they could still get the rating.
Yeah, because then I feel like even moving forward with, like, some of the fight scenes when they were using, like, swords mainly. And I like that some of the fight scenes were mainly with swords, especially, like, that's when they shine the most. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really cool. But then with moments like that, I still had times where, like, they could have did something, but instead of, like, going through with it and you seeing it, and I feel like you could have still done a good job of, like, you're seeing, like, the strike, but not showing blood. Because I feel like MCU does that very well, too.
Yeah, the only time I feel like, successfully did that was when the grandmother was fighting. It was like, you saw her strikes hitting, but you knew they were lethal, but obviously they didn't show that because of the rating. So I felt that was the only time they did that the right way. Every other time was like, they went for it, but then in post they were like, oh, you know, we can't actually show this, so get rid of that.
Yeah, so that kind of took me out of the movie a little bit for me. I kind of wish it was rated R just so we could have that action of it, because then that would have been cool.
Man, a rated R.
They even dropped an F-bomb in there.
Oh, that's right.
I was just kind of like, I mean, it was just random. Like, I don't care or anything, but at that point, it's just like...
That kind of reminds me, well, you got the PG-13 rating allows one F-bomb.
Well, no, yeah, I know that, but still, like, the F-bomb was so just, like, random. It wasn't even, it didn't even felt like a set up F-bomb. It just felt like we can use it one time, so let's just use it real quick. Like, that's literally how I felt, and I was just like, oh.
That reminds me that a con I did have with this movie is that none of the comedy hit for me. I think all of it fell flat. Every time they tried to make a joke, it just didn't really work for me.
The funniest time is when he was Fish Boy. That was literally the funniest part of the movie. Because when Tommy was calling him that, I was like, yo, this is kind of lit. Like,
yeah, there were a lot of times where you could tell like that was the comedic relief of the scene or the moment, and it just never once did it hit for me. So I think that's something where they dropped the ball as well too. Do you have any other cons, pros you wanted to share?
I mean, yeah, little ones. Like, pro, I do like the scene in the beginning when he's working for the cartel for a little bit, and one of the guys was about to be like super dick and just come for them kids that like kicked the ball near him or some shit. I do like that he was like, yo, bro, chill, like, bro, chill. Like, it's not that deep, bro. Like, over here swinging your knife around.
And
like,
that's
oh,
the weird thing is that, you know, they show him as like someone who would stand up for like a morally right thing to do, but then he just does all this morally incorrect things throughout the entire film, and you're just like,
yeah. So like,
why?
As for a moment for Snake Eyes, I did like that. Going a little bit forward into the movie, back towards when he starts meeting the clan, and pretty much like that last big action scene towards the end of it. Oh yeah, and the scene on the highway too. That scene was cool. I did like that.
Oh, with the driving, yep. I agree.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Uzi.
And when he stole the crystal, you know, there was a moment where I was like, okay, he's gonna redeem himself for me. Because when he was stealing the crystal and they were chasing him or a little tailing him, I thought he was leading them to where the meet was happening. Mm-hmm. That's what I kind of had in my head. But then I realized that wasn't the case. And then I had another moment where I thought he was gonna redeem him for me, where I thought he was just gonna like throw the crystal into the lake or something.
I agree.
And then like, oh, they pull up and it's like, oh, I didn't give it to him, blah, 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 let's take him out right now, whatever. No, he didn't do that. So I was just like, damn, bro. Yeah. You just fucked up. You fucked up. Storm Shadow's within his right to hate you. Any G.I. Joe, like, now I'm just reflecting as a kid to all the G.I. Joe episodes I watched, and I'm like, nah, man, you need to get this guy, bro. He's crazy. Nah, he's crazy, bro. Because literally it felt like the end of Snake Eyes' origin, moving into G.I. Joe's is like, him being a Joe is like a redemption arc for him, like a redemption story, pretty much.
Yeah,
like he fucked up a lot of shit, and now he has to make it right. More specifically with Storm Shadow. So if anything, not that this is like, you know, carries over to the movies that came before, but this makes more sense for the movies that came before it for me, to how like the first one ended and the second one it was like, oh yeah, I'm here to break you out, but we're working together like we were cool, kind of. I don't know if you remember the second G.I. Joe movie. like that kind of sets those movies more better for me, at least in my head, with their relationship. Because at first I was like, bro, kill this man, Snake Eyes. Like, he's trash, bro. Like, kill him. And then the second one, they're working together. I'm like, oh, okay, y'all are cool now. But now I'm like, nah, man. That Storm Shadow, you're my guy, bro. I don't know, you're my guy, bro. And I did like anytime he suited up in his all white thing, he looked cool. I don't care. Cool. Yeah, it was cool, and I loved their fight scene on the truck. It was slow. I mean, it wasn't long, but I did like it.
Yeah, it did feel like oddly paced. It felt like it was supposed to be fast paced, but it didn't translate that way. If that makes sense. It felt like the fight was going slower, even though they wanted it to appear faster.
Yeah, and I thought that they were going to be up there for a little bit longer. I kind of, one thing I will say too, I kind of wish I got more Snake Eyes v Storm Shadow. Like, that would have been cool. Like, maybe a couple more fights. Yeah. Or like one more
maybe
fight at the end. Yeah, or something like that. Like, they didn't really have any like that. And Storm Shadow, or not Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes wasn't really that much of a, like, he could fight, but I don't know, at least for me, I don't feel like he was,
I agree.
You know what I mean? Like, because he wasn't beating anybody's ass in a 1v1, especially like the main guy they're going against. And that's something I do appreciate too. Like, the guy that Storm Shadow was coming for that tried to kill him when he was a kid, that guy was pretty strong. Like, both of them bumped him one-on-one, and he kind of wiped both of them. Like, it was like Snake Eyes had to outthink him, not just straight up fight him. Yeah. So I do like that about the main villain anyway.
I think my last con about the movie is something we talked about, and we only differ a little bit, is the whole like repercussions to Storm Shadow's actions of using the gem. Like, their whole clan is based about defending it and not using it for any means because of, you know, blah blah blah. It takes more power to, you know, not use something that can get you the whatever. You know, some Bruce Banner Hulk type stuff. Because he used it, I get some form of punishment, like oh, you can't use your sword for 3 days type, like baby shit. But to just, I feel like she escalated the bar so fast, like, you'll never be ahead of this clan, you never get to run this, and it's just like you brought.
You're tripping. No, she was definitely tripping, bro. I would have been so tired.
In the moment, like, things were happening, and he had the jewel, and this guy had just attacked the clan. Like, in that split moment, emotions may take over. Boom, I did it. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll never use the gem again. Blah blah blah. I broke the way of the whatever. She to the moon with the consequence, and I get why he's mad.
I feel like, honestly, that was the end of the movie for me. When Storm Shadow had said what he had to say to her, and then said what he had to say to Snake Eyes, and he left, that was like the end of the movie for me. Like, I could have walked out right there, because I was like, okay, yeah, like, that was within your right to say to both of them. And then just going back to that scene when he's taking the crystal to attack him with, look, he said something earlier in the movie that I kind of sat with, because I had a feeling this was probably why, like, if he became leader of the clan, this is like where his way of thinking would be. Where he was like, we need to, like, we've been doing this for, you know, what, this, like, 600 years or whatever, like, how long they've been doing this for, and times are changing, and he made a comment of like, yeah, it's changing, and we kind of need to change with it too, in a way. And that kind of stuck with me when he said it earlier. So going forward to the part where with the crystal, it's like, yo, this man was bred his whole life to be the leader of the clan. Does everything and anything in his power to do what he's supposed to do, right? Never does anything wrong until that point. A guy that was also in your clan got someone else to steal a crystal for you, attacks your clan, and then almost kills the leader. And you expect him to not want to just take him out with, like, by any means necessary, whether or not you're supposed to use the crystal, like whether or not you're supposed to use it or not use it. I feel like in that moment, that's like, I kind of agree with you, like, with the disciplining thing, but outside of, like, I don't know, outside of just like, outside of just being like, look, you don't ever do that again. I feel like that was, you could have just left it at that, like, don't ever do it again. But the way, like, even, bro, the way she was looking at him when he went to go attack him, and it was like, oh, no, like, what do you mean no, bro? He came in, he wiped, like, he didn't wipe the whole clan, but shit, he was blowing shit up with fucking fire everywhere, like, however the hell he was doing that. It was just, I just really hated seeing that for a really well done character in the movie where that wasn't even supposed to be about him. So I was just like,
honestly, it feels like the main character that wasn't supposed to be the main character.
Yeah, I'm just like, yo, bro, you're tripping. I'm glad he told your ass off because he definitely was in his right. And then just going back to Snake Eyes real quick, I thought that was the realest thing for him to say to him. Like, even when they were on the truck, yeah, on the road, and he was like, "Yo, this isn't over.
Yeah, we're not
bro.
done. Like we have to come back to this.
Over. Yeah, like all that stuff. Yo, Storm Shadow is the realest man in this whole movie. He got the shit end of the stick. Snake Eyes, I'm sorry, but they kind of didn't do you that well, man. I mean, but Henry Golding, you did a good job. I did like you as a character.
Yeah, I think he did the best he could do with what he had.
Especially from a character who never had any dialogue from when like we used to watch him.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's also a testament to Henry Golding because Snake Eyes doesn't talk. He doesn't say shit. So
yeah, we don't really.
There's no context you can get from him outside of the only thing that made Snake Eyes personal was the Storm Shadow angle of it. So in that aspect of this movie, they nailed it, and they even nailed it to the point where I think I like Storm Shadow even more than Snake Eyes now.
Yeah, if they were to continue this particular universe, which I doubt will happen after the box office return, they're going to have to do a lot of redeeming for Snake Eyes in order for me to be on board with watching him as my main protagonist because he did a lot of like flaw stuff, things that just weren't okay.
This man gave you a whole sword, bro, and you still stabbed him in the back.
It's so sexy too, so
flawed, bro.
It's foreign.
Can't trust y'all.
All right, so with the conclusion of that, Snake Eyes, the G.I. Joe origin, are you taking it or are you leaving it? I know this is a tough
Guys, look, I would say watch it if you're interested in the Snake Eyes aspect of it. That being said, I am leaving it. As far as I'm concerned, they should have named this movie Storm Shadow, a Cobra Origin.
That's honestly, that is kind of what it feels like. I think you and I are kind of pretty much in the same boat. While I enjoyed this movie and I found some things to enjoy, again, that love for Snake Eyes, obviously they tried to diminish that a lot in this movie. I enjoyed, but I think I too am going to leave it. I think that while I had a good time, I wouldn't press anybody to go spend their money to run out to the theaters to watch this film. I think this is easily something you can wait till it hits a streaming service or Redbox or something like that. A little pay-per-view kind of bundle night. There's nothing else to watch. I don't think this is something worth paying the $10 to $12 to go see this in the theater, honestly. It just didn't work for me. If it wasn't our job and stuff, it had me hyped. The trailers were good, but if I knew
the trailers are real good. Yeah,
if I knew what I did now, I wouldn't have gone either, personally. But I'm glad that I did see it, and there are things that I did like about it. So all in all, I'm leaving it, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, sorry Snake Eyes, but now it's Team Storm Shadow.
Yeah.
And with that, we'll end the chat there. Thanks for everyone for watching, and if you like this video, make sure you like the.
With that, we'll end the chat there. Thanks for watching, and if you like being a part of the chat, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, make sure you keep that notification bell ringing for next week's videos. Until then, you can follow the channel on the social media platforms in the description below, and you can follow me at JohnEmery97 on Twitter and Instagram.
And you can follow me at Joshy5K on Instagram and Twitter.
Make sure you support your local movie theater and/or streaming service of choice. And until next time, thanks for chatting.